Alright. Sorry about the clown stuff. Good night, Howard. Thank you so much for joining. Alright. We got Dr. Sumerian, which we had them exactly 100 SCPs ago with 2813, which was the ghost ship, which was the asteroid in space. Where like you know, people back in Earth were like, what if we could put our soul into space, man? Why we can become immortal by putting our souls into space, bro? And see Mac. Go back in containment, man. yeah. You contain yourself. Alright. Well, Dr. Sumerian, what did you write? You wrote a total ripoff. Back to the life that I think this is the one that Howard told me has a tale with like extra 3,000 words. Let me double check. Yeah, this is the one. All right. This is my favorite of the bunch. Okay. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. SB2913 is to be held in a standard humanoid containment cell. SB2913 is to be afford basic requested luxuries for as long as its continued cooperation with the Foundation is maintained. A grenade pin, formerly belonging to an M67 fragmentation grenade, is to be kept in a clear protective case in SB2913's cell. The incident report 88. Okay, I think that's the. That must be the 3,000 extra words that we're gonna read. Yeah. No problem. We'll definitely read that because that is an incident report. We need to read that. Image of SB2913 taken in containment, exposed skeletal structures not visible. I want to see. I want to look into it more. Oops, I accidentally closed the incident report. Okay, there's something blue. I think it's just a brand that's being blurred out. Maybe. Okay. Description. SB2913 is a severed right hand. Oh. Formerly belonging to James Harmon. Oh, it's not the remote. It's the hand. Deceased, which is capable of independent movement. But is it just thing from Adam's family? You know what I'm talking about. Approximately 5.1 centimeters of the radial bone and 4.6 centimeters of the ulnar extent uncovered by skin behind the wrist joint. Despite the lack of biological support system and obvious trauma associated with the terminating ends of the bones behind the wrist joint, SB2913 remains healthy. I love Thing. Yeah, no, same here. Honestly, Thing is probably the best Adam's family character. And that is hard to say because everybody in Adam's family is fucking baller. But Thing is just fun because it's just a hand. SB2913 is capable of speech, hearing, sight, and smell. SB2913 has shown a moderate level of skill in complex problem solving, while SB2913 has been observed to move its fingers and thumb together in tandem during the act of speaking. Observation of SB2913 has revealed the auditory source of speech to be between the first and second metacarpal bones, even in the absence of motion. I'm so glad they never gave him a body reveal or something. Huh? SB2913 was originally recovered by the Madison, New Jersey Police Department responding to the nuisance noise call. Officers found SB2913 grasping a wireless television controller. SB2913 then proceeded to speak with the responding officers. After SB2913 apologized for using the apartment's television without prior permission, the officers were radio dispatched to report the anomaly. Foundation agents monitoring local police bands investigated the incident and after administering amnestics took SB2913 into custody for further study. I was talking about a Thing. Yeah, we know, but the sentence still doesn't make much sense just by itself. Like, do you mean like we never know who the original body was? Is that what you meant? Interview logs, transcript of interview 3. Dr. Maddox and... Okay. This is Dr. Maddox recording interview log 3. Hiya, Maddox. Hello, 2913. If you want to chuckle, you can call me Han. We discussed it before. Fine. 2913 it is. The purpose of... You know what? I will do this. The purpose of this interview is to determine how you become separated from your former owner. Well, that's a long story. I used to belong to this guy called Jimmy. Jimmy was a real weirdo. The longest time, my only friend was Joe. And who is Joe? Well, back before I could speak out loud, Joe used to talk to Jimmy. Wasn't exactly a saint, you know. I mean, he used me when he was growing up, and he did the normal stuff you expect, but Jimmy was a little creepier than normal. The first time I knew something was wrong was back when he was 6, and he crushed a dog windpipe. No. He put all of his weight on me when he did it. I can almost hear the thing whimpering still. No. And this Jimmy, did other things that disturbed you as he grew older? Oh yeah, he was 13 when he finally graduated past animals. Their sister was swimming in the backyard one day and he just held her under. She wasn't breathing anymore. Dad barely made it in time to save her. Was Joe there for those incidents? I wouldn't say he was there, but he saw it. And he knew I wasn't happy. He came by the first time about 5 years ago. I knew him pretty well already for my thoughts, but he still took the time to introduce himself in person. This is kind of the guy he is. He offered me a deal. Gave me independence. In exchange, I could fight back against Jimmy. I could stop him. Weird thing was, Jimmy was completely oblivious of it. He just ate his Big Mac in silence. So you agreed? Not at first. You gotta realize, I knew Joe was pretty well by that point, but I'd known Jimmy for longer. And way better. Even as messed up as Jimmy was, I couldn't bring myself to just take over his life like that. But you did eventually agree. Yeah. Things got dark after that. I think Joe knew, and it's probably why he offered. I really don't want to talk about the stuff, if that's alright. We can avoid that for now if you'd like. Good. After particular long nights about 4 years back, I called out the best I could for Joe. I'd done that before, but after I told him no, he stopped coming around as much. I don't know how to think loud, but I gave it a try. I guess he was pretty close because he heard me. He asked me the same question as he did before. Did I want freedom? I said yes. I had to go, but he said he'd walk me through things. Once he got done with his foot, I was working on. He had a thing for feet. What happened after that? I stopped letting Jimmy do what he wanted. I tried to be quiet because he was already a little bit off, but Jimmy liked control. But then I think the only way he was able to function like a normal human being most of the day was to let out his urges from time to time. I wouldn't let it happen anymore though, so he started to drug me, use local anesthetics, told people he had nerve damage. At what point did you become separated from your host? Last year. I knew he wasn't going to stop. He just kept drugging me and keep doing that stuff. I want to end it. He was driving to work one morning, running late. Probably planned on numbing me in the bathroom when he got there. I reached up and pulled the steering wheel to the right. He wasn't expecting it. We did this weird flip, and I just put myself out the window. I thought that would be it. The car rolled over me, but it didn't hurt me. I think that was Joe's doing. And then I hid in the grass. They took Jimmy to the hospital and they were looking for me all day. But I just crawled away when they got close. Joe said he understood why I did what I did, but he said he couldn't help me anymore since I committed an act of violence. I think that's fair. He gave me freedom. I'm not so sure that's much else he could do that was better than that. Topic paused for several seconds before continuing. Do you know what happened to Jimmy? I'm not sure. I can try to find out. If you do find him, get him the help he needs. And tell him I'm sorry. I'll see what I can do. Thank you for your time. Yes? Sir. SB2913 has proven cooperative. Attempts to utilize it to locate the entity known as Joe, while unsuccessful and ongoing. Okay, sorry I was ignoring guys for so long. I was getting really into like puppeteering my own hand. I think you can. Yeah, I think this time you can befriend this one. That committed to the bid implies that all hands are sapient. Maybe. Is it just me or today is be more fucked up than normal? Something is going on. Something's in the water. in the 2910s. I think 3000 is where we get the whack shit. Also, this implies that the killer's hands enjoy the kills. Well, doesn't this imply that serial killer's hand don't enjoy the kills because he was part of a kid that was killing a bunch of things and he was like, I don't want him to do that. I'll befriend SB2913 and keep him as a friend. Yes, sir. Because Jimmy was the hand that he belonged to Jimmy, and Jimmy was killing animals and his little sister, and he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So this would imply that like the hand itself is like hey man, it's fucked. Oh, the tail, yo, woof. Thanks. I almost forgot. See, here we go. The ethics committee isn't your enemy. Besides, liaison is there to help you do a better job. Those pesky containment procedures can seem impossible to perfect, but if you work with your liaisons, you can get them just right. If your liaisons pays you a visit, give them your full attention. They're just here to help. Page 234 of the Foundation Employee Handbook. So this is now the reason why there is a hand grenade pin in the room as well. I wonder if we traumatized Steph too much now they are just, you know, just like, I'm not gonna say anything. Whenever I speak, something happens. In this world, in this SP world. Dr. Jeremiah Cimmerian, hey, the author. Sat in the back of a powder blue Lincoln Continental at the outer gate of Site 88. It wasn't a long drive from Mobile Regional Airport to Site 88, and the Cimmerian had enjoyed the scenery. Cimmerian's driver, an elderly, quiet, and somber man with barely detectable Southern drawl, flashed identification to the guard, and they moved past the outer perimeter. Two other cars were ahead of them at the second checkpoint. Cimmerian tried to get a closer look at the other two cars. Kent, right? Yes, sir, the driver answered. Busy day today? Cimmerian closed the laptop, robbing more engineers out of 352. Kent said with a nod. The regional director has been pushing us to upgrade our containment wings. Gay was on us about those upgrades for years. I'm surprised they're finally following through, honestly. Ken turned around, seemingly interested for the first time in this entire trip. You know the regional director? I didn't actually meet her in person until the breach a few years back. Though the circumstances weren't exactly conducive for us to get acquainted, if it wasn't for that, I just know her as a name on reports I filed. Ken put his arm on the back of the front passenger seat. You used to work here. Yes, I liaised for the ethics committee. Ken laughed and turned back. For a minute, a man thought he must have thought I was important. You're not just scientists, you're not just agents, you're diplomats. The world is counting on you to not just contain threats, but to avoid taking actions to create new ones. There are many objects that will not or cannot care how morally or ethically you treat them. There are also many that will care, and we care. Remedial ethics as a refresher, page 2. The Marion turned the doorknob, leaned to Director Maddox's office, and nearly choked on the smell of the cigar smoke. The photos on the bookshelves were significantly older than the ones on the desk. All of them were pictures of Maddox at various stages of his life. Maddox greeted him warmly. Cimmerian had heard these sorts of pleasantries before. Regular staff might not care, but the site directors knew better than to piss off a member of the ethics committee. Everyone had skeletons. Cimmerian just nodded along until Maddox got to the real question on his mind. What brings you back to Site 88? Oh, to guard ethics violations, believe it or not, Cimmerian said, pulling a file folder from his bag. I'm here to investigate your license report. Ah, yeah, she's been complaining about a lot of our work recently. Samir nodded. Mostly stuff related to the Alpha 9 trials, right? Mother stopped suddenly. You clear for that? Did you think the committee was just skipping the party? Maddox composed himself. Sorry, okay, your liaison. Maddox paused for a moment as if remembering the name. Jenkins, she's complaining about some of our work because she's now read up on Alpha 9. There's not much we can do about that right now, though. Even so, we can't just ignore the reports. That would be more suspicious. So, you're just going to run around the side and make it look like you're checking up on things? I'm focusing on 2913, so depending on how that goes, I might be out of your hair before the end of the day. 2913. Maddox shifted in his seat. The man pulled a folder from his bag and opened it. I'd like to talk to you about the impact testing you ordered last month. SCP-2913 is a severed right hand, formerly belonged to James Hallman, deceased, which is capable of independent movement. Approximately 5.1 centimeters of the radial bone and 4.6. Oh, wait a minute. I'm dumb. So when you said circular hands enjoy it, did I completely miss that Jimmy was the left hand? I completely missed that. Or I've just like erased out of my memory bank the moment I read it. I thought Jimmy was the guy for some reason. It makes a lot more sense that Jimmy was the other hand. Oh, okay. Is Jimmy a nickname for James? Is that how it goes? God. Okay. Centimeters of the ulnar extent uncovered by skin behind the wrist joint. Despite the lack of a biological support system and obvious trauma associated with the terminating ends of the bones behind its wrist joint, SCP-2913 remains healthy. SCP-2913 is capable of speech, hearing, sight, and smell. SCP-2913 has shown a moderate level of skill in complex problem solving. While SCP-2913 has been observed to move its fingers and thumb together in tandem during the act of speaking. Observation of SCP-2913 has revealed the auditory source of speech to be between the first and second metacarpal bones, even in the absence of motion. SCP-2913's documentation. Dr. Cimmerian sighed. The records had prepared him for this. But this was exactly the kind of SCP object that made it difficult for him to do his job properly. Cimmerian wasn't a naturally emotional person, but he was human. Remaining objective was always a struggle. Better get this over with. The inside of SCP-2913's containment chamber was gray and sterile. Cimmerian sat down at a desk on one side of the glass partition. SCP-2913 is almost motionless on a table facing a television. Cimmerian could tell the room hadn't been properly cleaned in a few days. He wrote that down in his notebook, and activated the microphone. Hello? The hand jumped and spoke. Holy heck! Oh, holy heck! 2913 turned and moved its fingers and thumb in time with the words. Who are you? I'm Dr. Cimmerian. Well, hiya, Simmy. Can I call you Simmy? Cimmerian paused for a moment. Sure. The hand walked on its fingers to get closer to the glass partition. I never saw you before. I've never come down here before, Han. I think. Cimmerian put the object's documentation on the desk in front of him. You're the first one to call me that. I was getting used to 2913. I can call you that instead if Cimmerian began. No! I like it. It's much more personal than a number. Okay, Han. I want to get your perspective on tests that they've been running on you. Han recoiled slightly. Maddox knows what he's doing. He's been with me since I first got here. Cimmerian nodded. I understand that. I'm just helping him out. The more you can tell me about the testing, the better I can help Maddox with his job. Well, tell him just because my bones heal quick doesn't mean he doesn't hurt when they break him. Cimmerian started to answer when a short blast of noise bled over the intercom, followed by a voice. Warning. This is not a drill. Please remain in your current location until further notice. There has been an incursion in Sector 4. Han spoke up excitedly. Are you about to go all John McClane on their asses? Cimmerian pulled out his phone. No bars. They locked the door before they played the message. No escape. You're just going to wait it out? Not much choice. Sumerian set his phone down on the desk. I'm safer in here than I would have been out there. There was a pause from him before it turned around and crawled towards its television remote. You want to watch Game of Thrones then? I can start over from the beginning of the season if you want. The man looked over at his phone, still no signal. Shit. Maybe later. The man sighed. Right now we need to talk about those tests. Why didn't my chat show up? What did you say? Because all I have left from you saying, actually, now that you mentioned it, that's the last thing you said to me. I have a copy of Dr. Kondraki's termination procedure proposal. Step 1, I can't even see my chat. You're right. That's weird. Wait a minute. Huh? Yeah, guys, try again. Write something. Okay, there it is. That was weird. Odd. Where was I? Step 1 is his plan to use cat urine and a pistol load with silver bullets. Backup plans 2, 3, 4, and 5 are listed as, and I quote, wing it, make something up, cross the bridge when they come to it, and put my head between my knees and kiss my ass goodbye. What the fuck? Post incident interview 083 Clef 01. The questioning was routine. When it was over, Han had apologized if it was getting Maddox into any trouble. Sumerian had laughed at that. Now, though, with the hand back to watching television, Sumerian was moving around the room awkwardly holding up his cell phone and hoping for a signal. A distant rumbling shook the containment chamber and interrupted them both. Sumerian looked around as the power blinked twice and then went out for good. For a brief moment, there was a couple... Nope, nothing. For a brief moment, there was a complete silence, and the backup systems kicked on. Red emergency lights illuminated the room, and the ventilation system began to move again. During the brief silence, Sumerian thought he could hear something outside the door. He put his ear up to the wall and listened. He heard the faint sound of a declined access card. Shit, Sumerian said, even though Han couldn't hear him anymore. Sumerian dragged the desk to the left wall before flipping it over on the side. The intercom clattered to the floor. Sumerian pulled the table closer to the wall and then laid down beside it. Outside, a knocking started and quickly became louder. Sumerian closed his eyes, covering his ears, and took a small breath. He heard the metal door come off his hinges a moment later and slammed to the ground. Sumerian opened his mouth and breathed out slowly. The man outside threw an object into the middle of the room. The world went white and then very black. 1445-1, second group of hostiles designated Dasher reaches 2913's containment cell. A flashbang is deployed in the breached room. 1445-13, Dasher 1 and 4 enter 2913 cell while Dasher 2, 3, and 5 remain outside. 1446-34, Dasher 1 and 4 leave 2913 cell with 2913 in a cloth bag carried by Dasher 4. Remains of this bag later indicated it to be a Kevlar weave. 1446-39, Dash received a radio signal from Prancer, first group of hostiles, requesting assistance at 2343's containment cell. Please see incident report 1430 for more information on LMTF 352 Dale's neutralization of Prancer. 1447-5, Dasher proceeds 13 meters before 2913 escapes its confinement. 1447-06, 2913 exits bag, brushing Dasher's fore belt as it falls to the floor. 1447-10, a fragmentation grenade detonates on Dasher's fore belt. It has been determined that it was an accidental detonation relating to 2913's fall, killing Dasher 1, 2, 4, and 5-3 is mostly injured and will die before the security team arrives. Nice. 2913 is thrown away from explosion. 1447 25 2913 recovers and returns to his cell. Note, request by 2913 to keep grenade pin acquired from -4 as a souvenir is currently under consideration. He's like, I lived an action movie scene, man. I want to keep this as a souvenir. Video surveillance incursion log 88-4. Be gone. That was it. Instant. As fast as an explosion, that ball was gone. There will be a debriefings investigation report to file about Cimmerian. Headed back to Site 17 the next morning. They have to catch up to him. There. Kent, for his part, seemed equal parts reverent and curious. He hadn't asked any questions yet, but Cimmerian could tell they were on the tip of the man's tongue. You seem like you... Wait. You seem like you got something on your mind, Kent. Yes, sir. Kent paused before looking at Cimmerian in the rear mirror. I heard from a friend that you took out half the incursion on your own with a single grenade. Cimmerian blinked twice and chuckled. He thought, this is how those kinds of stories start. Kent snapped his eyes back to the road. Well, Cimmerian began, I can't talk about it, but this seems incredibly unlikely. Yes, sir. Kent answered. Cimmerian was sure he could have gotten away with telling the truth, but what was the truth anyway? That the other half of the hostile had died trying to get into 2343's cell? Why did the team go straight for Alpha 9 candidates? What was 2343 doing on the list in the first place? As basically a god, there's no way anyone would have approved it for Alpha 9. There were leaks and subterfuge and danger around every corner. This was exactly the kind of shit he'd been avoiding during his entire tenure with the Foundation. Hey Kent, Cimmerian said, sighing. Could you turn the radio on? Kent nodded and pressed down the button. Norman Greenbaum, Cimmerian thought as he hummed along. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. You gotta have a friend in Jesus. You gotta have a friend in Jesus. Memories can be fuzzy, so if there are important details, don't wait to be asked. Write them down. If you or one of your friends had direct contact with either an escaped SCP object or a hostile intruder, report it to your superior. Once the containment breach ends, follow the 4 R's: recontain, reclaim, remember, and record. After the site has been cleaned up, your debriefing will help prevent future breaches. Sometimes problems are systemic and recurring breaches barely happen just once. Recovering from a containment breach, the 4 R's and more tips. Dr. Light's temporary office was Spartan, but she was anything but laconic. Cimmerian knew he was going to end up here. He met her when he was first assigned to the project, and she seemed pleasant enough. A bit secretive, but she used to be a site director that came with the territory. After the breach at Site 88 had been struck, I've been stuck trying to explain the event to 5 different people before this meeting. It wasn't like Light could even fire him. He wasn't in her chain of command. The ethics committee, though, would only take so much of a personality conflict before it tried someone else who was equally good at the job but more agreeable. Cimmerian had seen it happen to others. Hell, he'd been the replacement before. Why do you think you're here? She asked pointedly. Well, I get the feeling you're going to tell me if I won't be flying commercial anymore. Funny. Yes, that's definitely true, but what I really need to know is what you didn't tell Security about the breach. Cimmerian thought that was this is about. Cimmerian crossed his legs and laughed. 2343. When did you figure it out? After the first debriefing, Prancer walked into a kill box dressed up as a containment cell. What I want to know is how you got past Maddox. Maddox still believes that 2343 is an Alpha 9 candidate. The engineering teams have been making some modification to this site that he's not been briefed on yet. You figure he's a mole. Not until the breach hit 2343. That was a false flag we planted on his lists. We've modified everyone now, but until the morning after the breach, he was the only one who thought 2343 was a possible candidate. Smart. Why isn't he in a cell right now? We want to see what he does next. I'd love to say better the devil you know, but we think he's worse than them all. He's a pawn. Miriam blinked. Wait. Who uses site directors as pawns? I stopped and smiled. An 05. It had to be. 05 had executed or at least helped plan a breach of a Foundation site. Cimmerian's eyes widened slightly. No, there's no way. But this is the part where Howard did tell me this is part of a grander story. But I did want to read this anyway because because it's still connected to 2913. I think you'll find it is becoming increasingly likely there's a reason the council hasn't really signed off on our little project yet. The debate is first enough that someone might want to persuade folks that this is a bad idea with a little outside help. Shit. Yeah, shit. So you can imagine that no, you won't be flying commercial anymore. We're going to bring the more promising candidates to a central facility. A single facility will be easier to secure and easier to hide. Sounds more like a single point of failure. There's no location that stays secure for very long. A central facility, Light said, shaking her head. Not a location. The Sumerian stopped and cocked his head to the side. How are you going to hide a whole facility? Lightsman didn't answer. The Sumerian knew that this was as much information as he was going to get today. Whatever you're planning, you're going to need a staff that are above reproach. And Janitor speaks out of turning this over before we get started. That's part easy. Everyone's coming out of the woodwork for this. Well, Sumerian said with a nod. I do enjoy meeting new people. Both of them laughed, but only for a moment. Yeah, I think we are reading a chapter in the middle of a story. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We absolutely are. I just did want to read this because it is connected to the reason why there's a pin inside the containment cell of 2913. And at the end, it's still like a fun little thing to read about. Even though, again, it is a chapter in an overarching story. There's going to be some more connected to that, but we got some more 2913 at the end. And that's what counts.